If I'm being honest, vlogging is one of the last things that we want to do right now.
Don't do it then?
This young doctor couldn't have been more than 35. She was like Indian.
A young doctor like 35. That's like Paul's age. If it was a man, I don't think he would have noticed.
ChatGPT and just looking stuff up on Google, it was like saying...
He's literally the kind of person that trusts ChatGPT more than the trained neurological expert who happens to be a woman of color.
And I was praying for you under my breath.
Oh, that'll have helped. Yeah, it was Paul who forced them onto the road because he knew that Morgan would have the bulk of the stress, be worried about the kids, be worried about the next day, and would have to physically deal with all of that as well. So they did it anyway, and he prayed for her under his breath. Are you alright, mate? Why are you so wobbly? Hold on. Maybe after I move house I can get an office that doesn't have a carpeted floor. We all have dreams. Hello lovely people, my name is Emma. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you are new. Excuse the background mess, I am both selling and giving stuff to charity and hoarding cardboard boxes for the inevitable move. My YouTube feed has been pretty quiet lately. It's been all quiet on the skeptic front. And I just had this moment the other day where I was like, how are my old pals getting on? How are my old fundy friends doing? I haven't seen anything from them for a while. So here's an update for you. First of all, and I apologise for bringing it up, but I'll die if I don't spend a little time talking to you about Pickleball Paul. Paul, of Paul and Morgan fame, has taken up pickleball. If you're anything like me, you'll be like, and Emma, what on God's green earth is this made-up sport you have just invented? I had to look it up. It sounded to me like something that would go alongside the egg and spoon race at a children's sports day, but no, it is real. As I understand it, when I looked it up and had a few people explain it to me, it is kind of a lower impact, like slower version of tennis. So it's been really good for people with mobility problems and seniors and stuff to get into a sport. But America, it's really taken off in some parts of the USA. So pickleball is now a thing amongst the fit young people. And I do look at someone like Paul and go, was he not good enough at tennis? Like, why pickleball? But I think it partly is just because it's the popular new thing. I don't want to spend too long on this for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because last time I talked in depth about Paul and Morgan, they mentioned me in one of their videos in return. It was essentially me saying, you can go and watch that video, I think it's quite interesting, it was an interesting sort of turning point in their content. But it was essentially me saying, maybe there is some hope here that they're going to get less fundamentalist. And Paul and Morgan were like, yeah, thanks very much for your opinion, but no, we're not. And anyway, they credited my name wrong. In their description. They called me Bella Thorne. I'm not joking. Despite me opening every single video with hello, my name is Emma, I get called Bella Thorne quite often. I guess because Bella Thorne, who is an American actress, is so much more famous and successful and wealthy and younger than me that it happens all the time. And that's fine. The other reason is that I'm aware that I'm a little bit just making fun of a man's hobby. Not cool, Emma, but I think you'll find my reasons justifiable. Reason one, because it is funny, but also reason two, to point out the gender inequality in Orthodox Christian relationships. Equally valid reasons. So I found they made this video a while back, how Morgan's really feeling about Paul going pro in pickleball. So to give a little bit of background that I have understood mostly thanks to Reddit, because I was just Googling, what's this pickleball thing? Why is Paul from Paul and Morgan posting the cringiest motivational pickleball videos? Oh my god, it's so cringe. But what I have learned is that apparently Morgan used to play pickleball, just one of the many things that Morgan used to do before a relationship with Paul changed her life. So Paul has stolen her hobby, the backwards baseball cap. This guy, it's like he's a joke. It's like if Paul was doing all this like motivational pickleball stuff, wearing the backwards baseball cap, going hard into this sport. No offense if you play pickleball, I'm sorry. If it was satire, it'd be really funny. I'd be like, damn, Paul's a funny guy, but he's actually just cringe. I'm a live and let cringe kind of person. Live and let cringe. I'm cringe in many ways. We all have our own lines and boundaries on what makes something cringe, but it does read like satire. Anyway, so used to be Morgan's hobby. Paul has stolen it. Paul is 35. He might be 36 now. Paul is in his mid-30s. They now have 2 children, and I'm not throwing any particular shade to men of a certain age, because men of a certain age are a huge part of my audience. Thanks for being here, guys. Please stick around. But this is the age that a lot of men in these very traditional heteronormative relationships have a bit of a midlife crisis. You know, some people take up a new hobby, some of them get into model trains, some of them, like, have these drastic career change goals, life change goals, some have affairs. Like, this is not... I'm not saying that every man in, like, a heteronormative relationship does this, but if a man is gonna do this, this is the kind of age and life point, now having 2 kids in this settled relationship, this is the kind of point where it does happen. I think maybe Paul's had a bit of a midlife crisis, and I think that's a fair guess. I'm not going to pretend that I'm the arbiter of what is true and that I'm correct, but I think that's a fair guess, okay? So he's stolen Morgan's hobby. She is the primary caregiver of these now 2 children, and what I understand from other people reporting on their lives from Patreon and things like that, because Patreon seems to be their main source of income, they are now not making enough money. So hopefully they go over it in this video so we can get a bit more detail, but I believe the situation is Morgan basically said, you're making no money with this and it's taking up all your time. If you're gonna do this, you've got to go pro so it can provide us some income. And they've decided to pivot to family vlogging, which, if there's one thing worse than fundamentalist vlogging, it's family vlogging. If you can find a way to family vlog without filming your children, then rock on. But if you're family vlogging in a house where you've got 2 children and that's the whole vibe, I just hate family vloggers. I just hate people exploiting. I'm going to say it, especially because this is clearly financially influenced. People exploiting their children for money on YouTube. I hate it. Maybe Paul and Morgan in this video will assuage all my fears. Assuage? Is that a real word? I feel like I've just made that up.
Let's just get even more real, like let's remove that band-aid.
It wasn't even like I was jealous that he was out playing pickleball. It was that there was some girls there.
Alright, vlog.
Do you see what I mean? Where it's like it's satire, like, what's up, my bros, my dudes, my Christian fam? I'm here to talk with my girl. He must do it on purpose, right? He looks like he looks like when I was 14 and I used to wear a baseball cap at a jaunty angle because I thought it was cool. Tell you what is cool though, my Twin Peaks trucker hat. Just that, like, you know, whatever.
Why do I feel like we push go live or start a video and we haven't really talked that much about it between ourselves?
Just throwing this out there, but maybe it could be a sign that your relationship is a bit unhealthy. That's just one of the potential reasons. You could just be bad at YouTube.
It's like the conversation happens in front of our audience. Is that a good thing?
Probably not.
No.
All right, with that said, so
Morgan's right.
How are you really?
With that said, we gotta make some money this month, so let's plow ahead. I just...
Feeling. No, like seriously. This is no small thing in our lives. In both of our, I mean, it affects everyone. It affects everyone. So I thought we could talk about how you're really doing and how you're really feeling. Who knows what's going to happen in this video? Because again, it's a month and a half in. Do you regret? Are you having regrets? Are you having doubts? I want to get into that.
I was the one.
Some dudes will do anything to avoid paying for therapy. If you're not willing to talk about this to a therapist or a relationship coach, counselor, at least talk about it privately together, not just straight to YouTube. Our lives have been so fucked up by the advent of social media. Like, I do this as a living. This is my main source of income, right? Doing YouTube videos. If I had like a life problem, or I wasn't sure how Matt felt, like really felt about me doing something with my career, it would be crazy to grab him and sit him in front of the camera and just hit play and be like, so what are you actually feeling about this? Get a therapist!
One who told Paul to go pro, to attempt to go pro in pickleball. Really, if anyone's to blame, it's me.
Honestly, and I'm being completely honest, that really is a comforting thing that you were the one to bring it up, because man, like, so many couples are not in this situation that we're in. We have friends and it's just not the case for them that I can go back.
It's just not the case for them that one of them wants to take up professional pickleball. Yeah, I guess that is pretty unusual.
Back to like, Morgan was the one who brought this up rather than I'm the one who pushed Morgan to let me do this. And so anytime there's a hiccup, challenge, obstacle that I wasn't expecting, my mind would be going back there.
Our lives were
making it her response. Is that like, people who know will see that and be like, ew. People who don't know will just be like, yeah, that's Morgan did it. But that is such a, like, I'm gonna say it's subconscious. We don't know the ins and outs of their relationships, despite them apparently talking about their problems to us before each other. But that is such a, like, pro-manipulation tool. Not saying that Paul is deliberately manipulative, but someone who was deliberately manipulative would have done something like that, encouraged his partner to be in a situation where she suggested that he try this so that he can then always go back to it being her fault. It was your choice. Well, you're not happy with me doing this. Well, you said I should. Like, that might be a controversial opinion, but I know there's going to be people in the comments who know what I'm talking about and are going to be like, have also seen that bit and been like, if you know, you know.
We're already kind of built for something like, hello?
Home intruder. Morgan's dear mother, Tina. Do we want to keep going? Is it
Hi,
too much
Tina.
pressure to have an audience?
I'm fine to keep going. I don't care.
All right, let's just keep. Tina, get on your phone and get distracted.
Yeah, our lives.
That was really weird. I know he was joking, but him, like, telling Morgan's mum what to do is a bit weird. Why did they keep that in? This video's only 20 minutes long and they kept in the bit where Morgan's mum walks into the room. I think all of these things are a play, right? People who do these, like, I'm so real, I'm a vlogger, my life is on YouTube and it's so real. They leave in these little things to make it feel more authentic, but it's like, just edit that out. I guess maybe they thought that was funny, but it wasn't funny, it was just a woman walking into the room. Maybe I just don't get Paul and Morgan's sense of humor. Like, no, it's not live, so you can just edit that bit out. Like, we've not actually done the conversation yet, except for how it's Morgan's fault.
We're kind of made for this anyways.
Something out of the box.
Yeah, because of just our already, like, schedules and just being self-employed, doing YouTube for the past 8 years. We have the flexibility of Paul being able to wake up earlier and go out and, you know, drill for several hours and...
Yeah, career-wise, yeah, but you do also have now 2 children. I mean, I'm just imagining that it might cause a little bit of a strain on the family dynamic if Paul is now away loads. But that's the joy for Paul, not for Morgan. That's the joy of these fundamentalist, traditionalist relationships, is that the childcare was always the woman's responsibility. So he can pick up a new hobby that takes him out of the house? Takes him off of the couch. I don't know what I was going to say there. That takes him out of the house for who knows how many hours, because childcare's not his job. He's not the woman.
We're in the middle of the day, be able to do something and then work a little later into the night or whatever. So.
Well, I have actually, Morgan, a couple notes of like harder, getting a little more like harder questions.
I just don't like the way that I don't watch much Paul and Morgan. Like I said, I haven't seen anything from them for a long time. But whenever I do, I don't like the way that Paul talks to Morgan. He talks to her like he's her boss and she's his employee.
One of them being the jealousy factor. Because to be completely honest, and you brought this up, Morgan. You brought this up a few days ago. You said you were just in a moment of realness. You said one of the things you mentioned was you're out playing pickleball and I'm at home changing diapers. And to piggyback off that, let's just get even more real. Like, let's remove that Band-Aid. I want to hear you talk on the jealousy, if you will, jealousy factor, which I think is not uncommon, but also this just popped into my head a minute ago.
I'm scared.
The comments that I'm seeing now among our haters and trolls.
That's me. I'm one of those. I'm not a troll. I don't watch Paul and Morgan and go to their Instagram and be like, what are you doing? I have a life. Initially, my initial response is to be like, props to Paul for this real, he describes it in a cringy way, but this realness of, you know, like, you might be feeling jealousy and that's normal. Do you want to talk about that? That's great, but he's putting her on the spot to do that in front of the camera. That they can be as authentic and real as possible, but they still have to be like a normal, nice, loving couple for YouTube, right? That impetus is always there when the camera is on. And he's like, putting her on the spot with things that she didn't even expect, and she's being like, oh, I'm scared. Like, why wouldn't they just talk about this beforehand? It is so weird to do that to your wife. I don't think he wants her to be real. I think he wants her to justify his guilt. Okay, that's completely speculative, right? I'm not inside their heads. But the way he's talking to her, the things he's asking, the fact that they're doing this in front of the camera for YouTube, you might feel jealous, and I might feel a little bit guilty about that. So I want you to explain to me and the audience why it's okay that I'm pursuing my dream at the expense of you. That's what he wants, right? We're not stupid.
Like, yes, I said that, and it wasn't even like I was jealous that he was out playing pickleball. It was that there was some girls there, and that caught me off guard. I was very, like, unaware that there were going to be some women at this house that he was going to play at.
Jealousy is a normal emotion. Okay, humans experience negative emotions, and feeling those negative emotions isn't a inherently bad thing. It doesn't make you a bad person. It's quite normal, and being able to openly talk about that with your partner, and props to Morgan for having brought this up with Paul, weird that he would then bring it up for YouTube. I guess she's fine with it. We have to assume that she's fine with all of Paul's YouTube-based decisions. Getting jealous because she didn't realize there would be girls where he's going? Doesn't that kind of betray a lack of trust? Women are 50% of the population, you know, or thereabouts. Women are like 49% of the population. There's probably going to be women most places that Paul goes, just like there are probably going to be men most places Morgan goes. Like, to have a reaction to that just betrays something a little bit weird and insecure in there. Just get a therapist, guys. Just talk to like a marriage counselor instead of YouTube. I promise it will help. I guess you have to pay a counselor, whereas YouTube pays you.
Like,
which is this is a whole nother layer.
I'm totally fine with Paul playing pickleball with other women, but again, I was about to start my period.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm very postpartum still, so it just like really caught me off guard, and there was, you know, whatever. So I was just like,
and for context, I was invited by one of the better guys, one of the better local guys, and I'm trying to get in with these guys and play more competitive at the highest level locally.
God, he's cringe. It's nice for Morgan to be open enough and say, like, my hormones are all over the place, I'm still a bit postpartum. But that conversation just, I feel like, shouldn't be for social media. I feel like this is a private conversation that we're listening in on, and they're broadcasting out to us. And then just the cringe of Paul being like one of the top guys, I'm trying to get in with him. He's got no illusions about trying to make friends with people in the sport. It's not like, you know, one of the nicer guys that I trust more. He's one of the better players, and I've got to get in with the good players. Like, Paul, are you a real person, or are you a cartoon character? There's this thing with YouTube, right, with like vloggers particularly, ones that are trying to be so like real, and this is my life on camera, yo. I'm so cool. I'm like nearly as cool as Paul, guys. My fucking bingo wings in place of his muscles. Anyway, maybe I should take up pickleball. But there's this like thing of like, I mean, you don't want to cross those like weird boundaries. We're not here to make friends, we're here to be viewers. But when you watch somebody's like life log, the reason that you're interested in it, the reason you engage is because you feel like you could be friends with that person, right? You feel like they could be a cool person to hang around with. And whenever I watch Paul and Morgan, I get that vibe enough from Morgan when they're not talking about their shitty religious opinions, obviously. I get the vibe that like, yeah, I reckon Morgan would be a pleasant person to have a cup of tea with. But I also get the feeling that I would hate Paul. He's just so, the way they talk to each other, he's so domineering. He dominates the conversation. He even dominates the frame. He like spreads out across. I know that's a silly little thing that doesn't matter, that could be a coincidence, but it just always feels like that. Like he's always taking up space, like he deserves it, like he owns it. And he does talk to Morgan like she's his employee. And he says all this, oh, Morgan chose this, or Morgan said that. And so we want to talk about Morgan's thing. But if you look at it analytically for 1 second, Paul is the one getting everything he wants. Paul is the one doing what he wants. He's just managing to frame it like, Morgan wants this too. She said it's cool. She wanted me to do this. I don't know many women who would choose for their partner to be a professional pickleball player, or to aspire, because he's not at the level, that's the point he's making here, he's not at the level of professional player, to aspire to professional pickleball playing when they've just had their second child. This is obviously what Paul wants. I think it's a bit of a stretch and a bit of a manipulation to make it seem like this is Morgan's choice too.
In pickleball at the professional level, what guys and girls will often do is they'll go to a tournament, they'll play men's doubles or women's doubles, and then they'll play mixed doubles. Mixed doubles is a very big part of this. Yeah. And Morgan and I we've been having to have these conversations of what is that going to look like.
Imagine being the sort of person that has to have a conversation about the fact that this sport that I want to take part in might have mixed gender tournaments. It's pickleball. You're not having sex on the court. Why would it matter what gender your opponent is? They're having to have these conversations. Makes it sound like, again, something that maybe Morgan isn't totally thrilled with, but that's weird. Grow up and play tennis, Paul.
That you got to think about and you got to have. So, yeah. How you doing since then, baby?
Fine.
That sounded fine.
But specifically pickleball, there's been a lot of married couples in your shoes, whether it's the guy trying to play pro or the girl, and them having to have lots of conversations like this.
Really? Is pickleball like super Christian or something? When one person in a relationship is trying to go pro at pickleball, they have to have jealousy conversations about how they're going to be around people of different genders? Am I misunderstanding, or is that insane?
Yeah, I mean, again, Paul also just does a good job of like, babe, if you want to go out tonight and go play pickleball, go for it. I'll stay with the boys and you go out. So I'm very thankful for that. So the opportunity.
Well, but I mean, that should be a given. This is another like little thing that a lot of people probably won't notice or think about, but if you know, you know. This trend, especially among more traditional types, of like, my husband is so good, sometimes he'll look after the kids and let me go out. He'll like offer to look like, okay, but you're both the parents, so that should just be a given. Your husband isn't doing you a favor by looking after the kids sometimes. He's doing his parental responsibility. Like, yes, if Paul goes out all the time to play fucking pickleball, you should also be able to go out to do stuff you want, and he look after the kids. Like, that's not like a favor that he's doing you. That's him being normal. It's such an ingrained idea that the woman is the primary childcare person. She stays home with the children and looks after them. She looks after the household. That, like, we treat it, especially on social media, again, and especially among these traditionalist types, we treat it like, oh my god, my husband's so amazing, I came home and he had done all the dishes. He offers for me to go out if I want to go out in the evening, and he will look after the kids. I mean, good? he should. Like, it should be normal for you to be like, oh, honey, I see on the calendar you don't have anything tonight. Can you look after the kids while I go and do this? It shouldn't be like, oh, thank you, he's so good, I'm so lucky. Sometimes he offers to look after the kids so that I can go out. Like, yeah, he's their dad. Like, he should be doing that anyway.
I wouldn't be going out and investing the time into this if I did.
Investing the time. He's doing it for his family, guys. This is an investment in pickleball.
Didn't think it was going to be profitable. And we are kind of given this like time frames to see where am I, where is the skill progression, even the business side of it in 6 months. Because if 2 years from now I'm just playing, which granted when I say playing, it's very intentional. Playing, training, drilling, hours of drilling, not super glamorous or fun. It's not.
So he is out playing hours of pickleball instead of providing for his family. Because he just kind of said that the haters and the trolls say that. And then he said that, and it's true, I do that. But with the intention of maybe making money out of it in 6 months. How do you make money out of pickleball? Like, I presume you play tournaments and stuff, but is it a career for most people? Because I'm just thinking about tennis mostly, because that's like the closest real human world equivalent that I can think of. Most people are not going to be able to just go pro at tennis, even if they're really skilled. You can't just decide to go pro and train your way into it. Like, the chances are much, you have to accept that fate, as well as like your natural ability or the time you have to invest if you do have, for example, 2 small children to provide for. Paul could be the most fantastic pickleball player and train really hard, and it could still not happen for him. He could still not go pro. I guess that's why I really appreciate this, like, they're giving it time frame and thinking about the business side of it, because that is like very, at least practical. Everyone should shoot for their dreams, but you have to be practical about shooting for your dreams if you've got a wife and 2 small children. Right? Because you just have to be, because it's not just your life, right? If you're a single man, you know, and you can downsize to a smaller flat to pursue your dream of pickleball, then fucking go ham, go all in. But he has got a family, and because of the nature of their relationship, he has put himself in the position of being the primary breadwinner. It's good that they are thinking about it from a practical perspective. Cringe as it is, for him to talk about pickleball that way, it is the correct thing to do. I guess it's part of the intentional aspect, and they're probably like praying and doing like daily aspirations or some shit, but like they have to be realistic about the fact that it probably won't happen. Like, the statistics are not in their favor. May the odds be ever in your favor, Paul, but it's very unlikely to happen.
Not the same as just going out and having fun casual games of pickleball. But
well, see, the thing is, I think that will be better, because then it could be more flexible. With him having this idea of very intentionally becoming a pickleball pro and having to do all this intense training, it's taking up way more of his time and attention. The thing is, I think most people, when they have a particular goal like this, they do something else alongside it. I guess technically he does, because they get their money from Patreon, right? And YouTube. I think to a lesser extent YouTube now, but they get their money from social media. So I suppose he is working while doing this pickleball thing. It just seems like the pickleball aspiration is a much larger part of his life than perhaps it ought to be. But I guess that is personal opinion, so I'll shut the fuck up.
the trolls are not gonna care about that.
They ain't never picked up a pickleball paddle in their life.
But it is.
No, because it's shit tennis. Most people haven't picked up a pickleball paddle. I didn't know what pickleball was until the other day. I picked up a tennis racket. I picked up a badminton racket because we learned real sports in school.
If you go pro at anything, many things, if you get to that highest level, there is financial opportunities, and that's what we're looking towards.
But again, going pro at that highest level is just so unlikely, and I feel like they're not saying that. Maybe he is just in this, like, manifestation mindset, but, like, you gotta be realistic, man. You got 2 little kids. You're not gonna become... The odds are that you're not gonna become a professional pickleball player that is able to use that to finance your life. It's just so very unlikely, however much you train.
I guess my question to the haters is, like, if we were to have announced, like, Paul's going back to college to get his PhD and blah, 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 would they be mad about that? Like, why is Paul spending all those hours at the library?
Okay, studying for a PhD is really hard. And again, there is also a likelihood that you won't succeed at it. And no offense to Paul, but, I mean, what would he do his PhD in? I can't totally envision Paul succeeding at getting a PhD. I'm sorry if that's mean. I never did a PhD because I didn't think I was the sort of person that could succeed at it. Like, I know some of the most incredibly intelligent, hard-working people who dropped out of their PhDs because it was, like, such an intense workload when actually I could jump into the workforce and make money right now. I would be equally as concerned that Paul wouldn't make it. But if he went back to college to do something else, say it wasn't a PhD, say it was like a master's or something, or even an undergraduate degree, if he wanted to, like, study, but the likelihood, if you're committed to going back to college and doing a degree, the likelihood of you getting the degree is much higher than becoming a professional pickleball player. Like, the two just aren't comparable. Pickleball, you develop the skill at pickleball. Whereas you go back to college and you study, I mean, it depends what you study, but you study for a degree in something, that's opening up multiple, like, possibilities for you. Multiple financial possibilities, career possibilities. Whereas pickleball is pickleball. Like, the two just aren't comparable. So I hope that answered Morgan's question to the haters.
Well, and that's
So, yeah.
to that point, and also, like, if
That was a great point that I just gave.
okay, great point. It's very, very good. But also, if it was like Paul's going pro or he's on the road to go pro in basketball, like, do any of the haters or people that maybe aren't haters but that are just like, is this a good idea? Would they look at that and be like, oh, that's not providing for your family?
Yes. Granted, it is funnier because it sounds like a made-up sport. Pickleball is inherently funny because it's called pickleball, and most of the world does not recognise it the way that they recognise basketball. But at the same time, if Paul had come out and been like, my goal is to become a professional basketball player and earn money that way, yes, it would be equally as ridiculous. It's not because it's pickleball, although that does make it very much funnier. It would be the same, Paul, to answer that question if it was basketball.
If you're making a living as a professional basketball player, football.
The problem here is that Paul has this assumption that he will be making a living as a professional pickleball player. Or that in this alternate reality, he would be making a living as a professional basketball player. And that's just not going to happen.
Player, baseball player, so they're just writing all that off?
Yeah, you
Yes.
shouldn't be having fun, babe.
You shouldn't be having fun. So they would look at it all as fun. Okay, not super glamorous or fun. It's not the same as just going out and having fun, casual games of pickleball.
I'm all for Paul and Morgan having fun. I think they should both be having as much fun as possible while spreading as few hateful views as possible, ideally. He's just talked about how it's not casual fun playing. It's really intense, intentional, hard work training. So you can't use they're not letting Paul have fun at the same time as talking about how it's not just fun, it's very intentional.
Do you struggle with deep doubts deep or not deep, that this is kind of a fool's journey, and at the end of the day, I am not cut out to be a professional athlete, and so...
Oh, I was going to stop it anyway to be like, no, as I've pointed out many times, it is kind of a fool's errand, right? Like, a dream's a dream. We've said 100 times, it's very, very unlikely that Paul is going to succeed as a professional pickleball player. Just because there are so many talented pickleball players. There are so many people who will be working just as hard and are just as skilled as Paul. And then he said, do you think I'm just not cut out for it? As if it's the same to have doubts. So he's made it using his manipulative way of talking to Morgan. He's kind of framed it so that it's difficult for her to say, yes, I have doubts that it could ever happen, without saying that it's because he's not good enough, that it's because he's not cut out for it. Those are completely different things. Paul could be, like I say, I don't know shit about pickleball, and I've never seen him play a match, and I don't really care to. Even if I didn't strongly dislike Paul, I'm not a big sports person. But he could be amazing, and it would still be so unlikely that he would become a pro that it's not that he's not cut out for it. The same with any big dream. Like, there are so many incredibly talented, hardworking people trying to achieve the same goal, that's what makes it unrealistic.
So all this work is going to be for nothing. Is that too much? Is that too putting you on the spot?
Useless.
Is that putting you too much on the spot?
No.
Yes.
You can be real with us.
No, I don't have a single doubt in my mind that Paul's gonna go pro in pickleball.
I guess they're both delusional? That's a hell of a thumbnail face right there, Paul.
I just know this guy, and if he puts his mind to something, he's gonna make it happen.
That's not how that works. That there's so many people who also are so dedicated when they set their mind to something. They're just not being realistic.
You, to be honest, have more confidence even than I do. Seriously. But that is kind of what I need right now. Like, you're kind of a godsend.
I think what he needs... Okay, again, I've said it. They've got a plan. He can try this for a while. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But they need to have that in mind. They need to have that, if it doesn't work out, it's okay. They need to have that in mind, or they're both going to be severely disappointed if they delude themselves into thinking that it's a shoo-in. I think what Paul needs is not someone to be like, you're absolutely going to succeed. I think he needs someone, he needs a little devil on the other shoulder, forgive the analogy, Paul, to be like, you need to be realistic about this, because the chances of you succeeding at this are extremely low. I think that's what he needs, more than this, all-in, faux supportive...
Every few days, doubts will come into my mind, and they'll try to pop me one in the chin, and I gotta weather it, and you help me weather those.
You don't have to weather it. You could stop trying to be a professional pickleball player.
And I will say, I shared the timeline with someone who's very good at pickleball, and they kind of were like, that's gonna be tough.
Was that the someone who's very good at pickleball, was that a professional player? Was that a top level professional player? Because if this someone that you shared the timeline with is not at that level, what are the chances of Paul getting to that level?
In 6 months, I want to be competing in my first tournament where I'm playing through qualifiers, meaning I'm playing well enough that I advance through qualifiers into the main draw, which is playing with the best players in the world.
Okay, this video was 10 months ago, so I guess we'll find out shortly if that was successful.
Something happened at the pickleball courts yesterday or the day before where I offended another person that was out there because I wouldn't come and play with them. The person was kind of like, we need somebody, and you're just sitting there, come play. And then they literally called, they said to someone else, that guy's a pickleball snob. My mind was very locked in. I'm only able to be out there each day for a certain amount of time, so I'm trying to be very intentional with that time. I'm not out there for rec play or just to jump in random games.
Surely playing is better than not playing. Surely any time playing pickleball is a bonus. I guess I don't know how pickleball works. Maybe there was a chance that in 2 minutes he would be able to get into a pickleball game at his level.
Some people are going to maybe see me or perceive me as, I guess, kind of cold, pickleball snob. And my question to you, because I am kind of having to cut out some things in my life, because so much of my focus is pickleball.
Now we're getting to the crux of it. Because to be honest, who cares? If Paul offended somebody because he didn't want to play with them, I don't give a shit. Paul's allowed to be cold if he's focused on something at pickleball. He's allowed to come across not polite all the time. It sounds like it was a weird interaction. That happens in human life. I don't care. Paul doesn't have to be nicey nice all the time. He's not necessarily doing anything wrong. So that's fine. So, I don't think any of us really care if he had an awkward interaction on the court because he might have come across as cold or something. If people think he's a snob, then he's allowed to be a snob. That doesn't bother me. That shouldn't bother anyone, including his fans. Now we're getting to the actual meat of it, which is something that I kind of hoped that they would start talking about an hour ago, which is that he's cutting things out of his life to make time for pickleball.
Seeing me change, is this process of trying to become a professional athlete changing me, and does that concern you at all?
That's funny that you told that story to ask that question.
That was a good lead up, right? Didn't it make sense to tell that story and leading up to that question?
Not really.
I don't know.
Even Morgan agrees.
I think you are changing, but I think it's for the better, honestly. I think you've always been a disciplined guy, but now he's waking up way earlier and you're being more intentional.
The way he stares at her when she's answering one of his questions is so unnerving.
You guys have seen these iconic sports movies. It almost inevitably, there's that moment where the wife or husband, but we'll say the wife, is observing what the husband is going through to get to the highest level, and there is a significant rub or significant tension. And oftentimes by the end of the movie,
he really does think he's the lead in like a sports movie, doesn't he? He's saying that because that's actually how he views himself. Like, that's probably why he's got such confidence that he's gonna become a professional pickleball player. Because he sees himself as the protagonist. That's so Paul. I did want to read a couple of comments. This one made me laugh. As long as the pursuit to pro pickleball brings in income, I support it. You'll need the income. This person has basically said exactly what I said. Do you realize, excuse my cursor is a duck. So you know. Do you realize how many more people want to be professional than there are people who are actually professional? This seems like a joke. You can't be serious. The wasted time for all this training instead of just earning money. What a joke. Okay, they've said it a lot more harshly than me. I think if they can afford to do it, then it's totally fair for them to try it. I'm not a hater, I'm not a troll, I'm just an adult and can't believe that 2 adult people with 2 children would make such a childish decision. If they can afford it, if they can make it work, if Morgan has said, this is my boundary, and I feel like you're within that boundary, so you go, you carry on, then that's totally fine. But they are being really unrealistic about the likelihood of Paul succeeding. I find the idea of Paul getting a PhD or going pro and making a living in pickleball all to be equally delusional and selfish. Yes, Paul, if you were trying to go pro in basketball, football, whatever, I would still judge that choice as foolish and immature. Like I said, it would be the same. If he was doing it with basketball, I would have exactly the same reaction, except I wouldn't laugh as much because it's not called pickleball, which is very funny. If I'd never seen a Paul and Morgan video before, I would 100% think this was satire. Paul, the chances of you becoming a pro at pickleball are so slim at your age. That's not a dig at his age. He's not very much older than me. Just professional sports, the age cutoff is really low. Like, people get into sports professionally or at those high levels when they're like in school. The cutoff just seems to be quite early in life because of, I guess, the physical nature of the thing. So this person isn't like being harsh about his age, he's just being realistic. You're basically going out to play while your wife and young children need you most. The worst part is all your friends normalizing this as chasing your dreams. Oh, this is a great point. Have you considered how many years in a pro pickleball career you're likely to get back on your investment? What age do pickleballers normally retire? Pickleballers. We ballin'. Pickles. How likely is the investment going to lead to the return, and is the investment actually worth the return? I.e., how many years of income will you receive? Or will you need to pursue another career path in a few years' time? That's such a great point. If you manage to get to that point of being pro, which is like stupidly unlikely anyway, but if you managed to get there, how long would that be viable for? And would it make you enough money to make up for the years of investment that you put into it? Or would you then have to retrain, pick another career path and start all over again? So Morgan can't play pickleball because she has to watch the kids, but Paul doesn't have that problem? Part of that at the time of this video will be that she had a newborn. So it is natural for the mother, for many, many reasons, physical as well as psychological and emotional, to want to spend all her time with the child. But generally, especially now 10 months later, I do agree with that. Like, the idea is, and Morgan says she's happy with this, she thinks that this is the biblical way and she's good with it, so, but it is because of this idea that it is normal for the woman to stay home with the children. Their stuff is so clickbaity that I don't even know what to do. Like, I need to repent part 2. Our life is perfect and flawless. Pray for Morgan. It doesn't feel very Christian to do all of this emotional clickbait.
I'm disappointed and ticked off at myself for being so just like down and heavy in the car ride when things were just going insane. I have had a wild encounter with the Lord. I'm gonna repent to you all.
I don't like that. You can explain it as being as real and authentic as you like and put that as a good thing. I don't want to see people crying on YouTube. I don't want to see people that emotional dealing with their problems in front of a camera. Because as long as a camera is there, you are never being completely authentic. It just doesn't work that way. And using Morgan crying as a hook at the beginning of your video is fucked up. And it's Paul that edits these, right? Even the title. Could you tell that I just came back in? Even the title. The Paul and Morgan Show. You're playing to an audience. You're never gonna be completely your authentic self in front of a camera. Especially when they are business conscious about the fact that this is part of their income, you know? Children. Skipping past the children because I hate that. Don't put your children on YouTube. Stop exploiting your children for money on YouTube. I hate it.
In the pursuit of going pro, playing at the highest level. And I think I'm seeing still a bigger gap between myself and these highest level players. A bigger gap than I anticipated at this time.
There's just this assumption that he's gonna keep getting better and better until he's the best in the world. I mean, Morgan literally said that in their other video. At some point, he might just peak and not be able to do better. It's crazy that he didn't expect this. We hoped that the night drive home would be smooth and the boys would quickly fall asleep. Yeah, this is the other thing. Carting your family around for pickleball tournaments? I don't know what bro expected.
If I'm being honest, vlogging is one of the last things that we want to do right now.
Don't do it then? Who's holding a gun to your head and making you vlog right now?
Totally honest. Like, I know for, especially Morgan, but oftentimes these times are the most appropriate times if we're just being real.
The most controversial times in our lives are the times that are going to make our videos the most interesting and therefore make us the most money. It might be the least healthy choice for our emotional health and our relationship, vlogging, pulling out the camera when, you know, the daily hardships of life hit us. But it might make us some money.
Luca just shoved something up his nose, and she was like trying to keep me calm, but she was like, he just shoved something up his nose, which he's now done like 3 or 4 times. He's okay. I need to find the nose sucker so I can suck it out. And I was like, that's not gonna work. I gotta go.
Move your chair over this way. Let's try to get out of the...
We gotta make the YouTube video look nice. We gotta be real and authentic, but it's important that we have the best lighting possible for this YouTube video. Talking about like the general troubles and the things that happen when you have kids, so that other people can relate to that and feel normal and get advice, like, that is fine. That's the kind of family content, if you don't show the children, that I think is fine. But doing that in the immediate aftermath of the stressful day, like, it's nighttime, we've put the kids down, like, we had this really long stressful day, we're tired, we're emotional, get the camera straight out and tell YouTube about it, that's just the stupidest decision. Like, make a note. If you think it would be helpful to people to talk about this, make a note to talk about it tomorrow when you're fresh.
Playing in a tournament of pickleball it's emotional, and obviously they had hoped for a little better results. So yeah, immediately coming from that to like mom mode, it wasn't ideal, and we knew that this was potentially gonna happen.
I jumped to that, then as soon as I'm done with that, I literally turn around and Judah has come over to me in his little walker and grabs onto me and starts like yelling at me to get him out of there. So I pick him up and get him out, and yeah, just jump into mom mode.
Obviously it's all Morgan's responsibility. They're both calling this mom mode. The kids aren't running to Paul for help. It just doesn't seem very fair.
And it was like, do we stay another night because it's about a 4.5 hour drive? Or do we grab some food and then head back to Lexington?
And I wanted to stay the night.
She wanted to stay the night. I wanted to get back to start our, weekly routine, get back for...
So obviously they did what Paul wanted, because they always do what Paul wants. As much as they frame it as, yes, I'm happy, yes, this is a loving relationship, but part of that is we always do what Paul wants. She can be very happy and sometimes annoyed with Paul. That's fine. But, like, they wonder why they have these haters questioning their relationship. And then you watch their content and it's like, well, Morgan wanted to do this, but Paul had this other idea, so we did what Paul wanted and it was the bad choice. Maybe we don't always do what Paul wants, and then maybe we'll have some better nights.
Monday morning stuff, and also not spend money on another night. And I felt like we weren't going to get home super late, so I felt like it was very doable. She, I think, was thinking more about the kids sleeping.
Who's she, the cat's mother? I don't know if you have that saying in the USA.
Schedules, which I understand.
I just had a very, very gut-wrenching feeling that the drive was not going to go well. And I was correct. I was freaking right. So the first hour...
Well, and optimistic. I knew there was potential for that, and to me, I kind of weighed things.
He was optimistic, and he knew that Morgan would be the one that had to deal with it. So we do what Paul wants.
You're thinking about tomorrow. You're thinking about how this is not just messing up right here and right now, but the sleep schedules. You're very invested in their sleep schedules.
I wonder why Morgan is very invested in their sleep schedules. Couldn't be because she does the bulk of the childcare. Oh my god, Morgan's face right now is exactly how I feel about Paul all the time. When people say she deserves better, this is what they mean.
And I was praying for you under my breath.
Oh, that'll have helped. Yeah, it was Paul who forced them onto the road because he knew that Morgan would have the bulk of the stress, be worried about the kids, be worried about the next day, and would have to physically deal with all of that as well. So they did it anyway, and he prayed for her under his breath. And this whole thing is in support of his delusional aspiration to become a professional pickleball player. I mean, for God's sake.
Others, I think, are going to watch it and actually have a ton of empathy.
Oh, I have a ton of empathy. I get it, Paul. I think you might be the one who doesn't get it.
That some just life scenarios put...
Just stop YouTubing at the... Stop pontificating your empty nothings. He's doing his thing again where he's just like... You know, sometimes in life, blah, blah, blah. Intentionally unaware that it is Morgan who has to deal with almost all of this. It is on Morgan. She's the one who has the strongest feelings about it, who has to deal with the consequences the most. And he fills up the frame and pontificates to the camera while Morgan is trying not to cry. This is why I hate Paul. This is why people don't like Paul. This is why people wonder if this is a healthy relationship.
I made it 10 times harder on me and everyone around us because they all had to watch my kids. Why did I do the tournament? Like, what the crap was the point of that?
Now Morgan feels guilty for trying to join in this sport that she enjoys because she feels that she should just be with the children. Why doesn't Paul have to feel that way? Why doesn't Paul have to feel guilty that he lost all these pickleball rounds and his children were struggling? Why doesn't he have to feel guilty that he wasn't there? Why the fuck is it on Morgan?
Like, I knew that I was playing well, but it wasn't good enough, and so that's just what sucks.
But you're not the one who's done this, Morgan. It sucks that you feel that way, and it's a normal way to feel when you are trying really hard at something and you don't succeed the way that you wanted to. But this is all because Paul has decided to upend both of your lives and your children's lives by deciding to become a professional pickleball player, which is never going to happen. Paul should be the one feeling guilty and sad. That's why people don't think this is a fair and healthy relationship.
Just a few minutes ago, I asked her, like, so Morgan, how are you doing? How are you doing emotionally?
I'm such a good husband that I asked my wife how she's doing. It feels like he slips these things in because he wants praise, just for doing like the bare minimum as a partner. It's so cringe. Sleeping in a separate bedroom for 3 months while your wife is up with a newborn, then making the decision to take a 4+ hour drive home after a sports tournament with a toddler and a newborn, after your wife asked you not to, then having the kahunas to say God gives me more grace in these situations when your wife starts to break down, is crazy. Thank you. Paul's behaviour is that of a man who wants a wife and kids but is unwilling to do the work to be a husband and father. It's sad and not an example to emulate. I'm a licensed Christian counsellor watching this and am aghast. I am grateful to see the tenor of these comments carry a similar concern. I specialise in treating narcissistic abuse, and watching this video felt like watching so many of my clients who are spiritually and emotionally battered. I wonder if Paul and Morgan will put that into the haters category and just not think about it too hard. Okay, we've got to take a quick look at Pray for Morgan.
Morgan, how are you feeling?
Alright, let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
I have been waking up at 5:30 in the morning to go to the gym, which I've been loving for the past month.
Great.
And I woke up one Wednesday morning 2 weeks ago. Felt great. Went home, lived my life. That afternoon, I got the boys up from their naps and we headed down to a park that's close to us. I felt this like pain in the back of my neck. It wasn't even my neck, it was like my skull. And I was like, oh, I guess I have like a little headache. I don't know, probably from allergies, whatever. Maybe I'll take a Tylenol later. I don't know. It wasn't my neck. I keep saying my neck, but my head, the base of my skull just kept hurting so bad. Like I couldn't really turn, but it didn't feel like times when I've tweaked my neck down in here.
Morgan
was playing horribly.
She was playing really bad, and we ended up calling it really supposed to be a date night.
Yeah.
Even their date night is pickleball.
I was like in so much pain. I was like, we gotta stop. So, anywho, wake up Sunday morning and I feel that headache, achy pain back there again. It wasn't like so horrible yet.
Real quick, I'm sorry. Apologize. I was mowing while you were building the swing set, right?
Yes, babe.
For the haters.
Once again, Paul wants to let everybody know that he does do the bare minimum. Okay, he was mowing the grass.
Pretty sure, right? Wasn't I?
You went and played pickleball. So we did not go to church. I like passed out for like 2 hours, woke up.
Not literally passed out.
I don't know. I like fell asleep for like 2 hours.
I hate the American medical system where like you have this recurring problem and you can't just, you have to think really hard about whether you're going to deal with it. Like if I had a weird debilitating pain at the base of my head and that recurred a couple of times at like separate incidents, I would book an appointment with my GP. America.
You just thought I was in pain.
It was hard to know because and she had talked about having a migraine. I was like making some calls of like, what are symptoms of a bad migraine? If she tweaked her neck, now she's got a migraine. But she was saying like, yeah, where am I? I'm crying. And so it just got to the point, took her to the ER.
Yeah, so went to the ER a little bit later. Not like immediately, but probably like an hour later. Because he kind of asked me, he was like, do you want to go to the hospital? I'm like, I don't like hospitals. So I was kind of like, no.
It's hard, and I mean, you guys let us know like where you're at with it. It's hard to know when something has like moved into we need to go to the ER or when it's just...
When you don't know where you are, just go to the hospital. Like, I don't know if the US or if it's different state to state. I wish you guys didn't have different laws in different states. It makes it so fucking confusing. But here we have this thing called, we have this 111. It's like a non-emergency number. So it's like, if you're not having symptoms of a heart attack or a stroke or something right now, you can call 111 and say, these are the symptoms I'm having, or this is the problem I'm having, what should I do? And they'll tell you if you need to call 999 or go to the hospital or whatever you should do. Or like whether you need to go to the out of hours doctor, stuff like that. So like if there's a system like that, then maybe do that first. It's good that he said that he was making calls, but like, yeah, if your partner is like having problems up here in the head area and then they're experiencing confusion, just go to the hospital. Nobody likes hospitals. Hospitals suck. Just go. That is where I'm at, Paul, on that.
Go back to the hospital, so Paul called and they're like, there's no wait right now. So we got there, they got us right in.
And he ends up saying, all right, based off of the symptoms you've described, because you worked out and then did pickleball and built the swing set, he said, I'm very confident that you have a bad neck tweak and it's causing these other symptoms. And in my mind, I'm like, that's what I thought too, doctor.
But it didn't feel like times when I've tweaked my neck down in here.
She has a bad neck tweak.
That's what I thought too, Mr. Doctor. Paul knew what was going on all along.
There is this other thing that it could be that's more significant.
Like, it would be so rare. So I'm not even like gonna go into that.
He's like, but let's just run some tests to be sure.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I'm like, praise the Lord. That's what we wanted to hear.
It's praise the Lord when we think that everything's fine. When it turns out everything's not fine, is it still praise the Lord? I just always wonder about that. It's always grateful to God and then things go wrong and it's like, we just won't mention God. I'll just pray more.
The like doctor comes out and he had like looked at my CT scan and I gotta tell you, he had like the saddest puppy dog eyes. He came and like sat right beside me on the bed and he was like,
you haven't even told me this because I'm like waiting to get the phone call from you because I'm out. Yeah. So got your CT results and you have a vertebral artery dissection. And I was like, huh? They had given me some pain meds. It's very serious. He was like,
we're gonna have the neurology team and the neurosurgeons come down and talk to you, and we'll kind of like go from there. They'll be the ones to decide your treatment.
This young doctor couldn't have been more than 35. Comes up, she was like Indian, and I'm not gonna
say that.
Well,
so it's a woman. So that's why, because if it was a doctor, because he said, like, a young doctor, like 35, that's like Paul's age. That's roughly Paul's age. If it was a man, I don't think he would have noticed. And then it turns out she's also a woman of colour. So he's instantly skeptical of her skills.
I like to try to do accents. I'm not going to. It's not the time or place. But she said,
no,
ultimately,
it's not.
You know, you're not going to want to pick up your kids anymore. And so, of course, my initial reaction, because that's one of the things, is like, she can't be lifting more than 10 pounds for 6 weeks. So I'm like, okay, you know, after 6 weeks, she can get back into, and she just comes up and pretty much point blank says, you're not going to want to lift up your kids anymore.
Or do like heavy weights or any like strenuous workout type stuff.
It's interesting that Paul picks up on the specific thing that might affect him, because if Morgan can't pick up the kids, then it stands to reason that Paul would have to pick up the kids. The fact that it affects all these other aspects of her life, Morgan has to add. And
so, and my immediate reaction is, okay, like how long before she can pick up her, you know, like her baby,
10-month-old baby.
And she goes, and she kind of like reprimanded me and said, that is not a question you should be asking. It could be, because even when this heals, it could re-tear because you've had it once, so you shouldn't even be asking that. It's smartest.
She was like, never.
She was
you
pretty
should
much like,
not ever be lifting up your children or heavy things again if you don't want this to happen again.
And I was just like, what just happened?
And we were both, like Paul's over here thinking like, my wife is about to be scarred for life, being told that she could never pick up her children again. And I'm over here like, huh? Like, immediately I was like, first of all, like, who the heck do you think you are telling me I'm...
The doctor, the qualified expert in the field, giving you the appropriate medical advice. Just because you don't like it, and because it was a woman, and because it was a woman of colour. Like, it's normal to be angry at this news. It's normal to be upset in this situation, and the doctors probably will get a lot of that anger redirected at them. So I don't totally blame them for feeling this way, but, like, cut that out of the YouTube video. Because if you're sitting down in editing and looking at this, like, you need to think realistically about whether you're being fair in your criticism of the doctor giving you this news.
I'm never gonna lift my kids again, bro. Like, go away. I'm not listening to anything you have to say.
And also ChatGPT and just looking stuff up on Google, it was like saying, you know, like,
Paul is literally the kind of person, this is not even like me making up something allegorical, he's literally the kind of person that trusts ChatGPT more than the trained neurological expert who happens to be a woman of colour in the hospital. He doesn't like what she's said, so he thinks ChatGPT, which is famously wrong lots of the time. What calm zen.
And like, before anyone's like, well, that doctor was probably like thinking Paul was like, well, she's gotta carry our babies around and take care of them. Like,
I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking the doctor is giving you the best medical advice and saying, look, once you've, had this injury, you'll be prone to injuring that area again, so you should avoid lifting anything heavy in general, like as much as you can after, even after your recovery period. That's what I'm thinking. It's a doctor giving medical advice.
No, Paul was being very gentle and was like, what are you, like, what's the time frame here? Like, he was asking questions for me.
They just don't like what they heard, so they're attacking the doctor. They went out of their way, Paul went out of his way to specify that this is a female doctor, and probably Indian.
This could be a hereditary syndrome called
VEDS, vascular Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. You're more likely to have things like this happen for no apparent reason. A lot of people go undiagnosed and live their whole lives without ever knowing that they had it. But if it does happen and you can catch it early on, you can treat it and be a lot safer throughout like your older age, is what I guess this neurosurgeon was saying. He was like, I feel very confident that that's what this is. He's like, I want to rule it out. So basically for the next 6 weeks, I have to have a live-in nanny because I can't, get Judah out of the crib. Can't put him in his high chair, can't leave the house because I can't put Luca or Judah in the car seats. Luca luckily can climb up on me and sit in my lap if he wants,
I'm glad they can get the help. I'm glad they can afford to have live-in help for 6 weeks, but why's Paul not doing that? Morgan can't leave the house because she can't put the kids in the car? Why can't Paul put the kids in the car?
Yeah, I mean, if Paul is working, then I have to have help, and we have to keep living our life.
Working? Does Paul have a job that I don't know about? Do you mean pickleball practice? Paul, you ask for prayers but leave Morgan alone with the kids all day to go play pickleball. She even had to ask a neighbour to get the baby out of the crib at 7 a.m. Jesus Christ, this man is going to kill her. Morgan, this isn't a healthy relationship. You need to be there for your kids. He doesn't help raise them despite not having a job. Typical narcissist has to interject about how he was mowing when she was building the swing set, when he actually wasn't mowing. This is the constant need to control how he is seen and what people think of him. Paul, Christian to Christian, you're a narcissist. You're being neglected and controlled. You don't want to end up dead and missing your boys' lives because this man is a giant man-child who can never be your partner. I don't know how she even tolerates him. I want everyone to know who is reading this to know that this isn't what marriage is. This isn't what a Christian marriage is. I'm in a Christian marriage and I am so happy, loved, and secure. This ain't it. Oh, somebody reiterated the point that I made. Paul allowed her to have that night to herself. Morgan, how do you feel? Skips how she's feeling and gets to the content. I'm sorry for dragging on this Paul and Morgan video for longer than expected, but just as much as Morgan can say that she's happy and that Paul is supportive, that is within the confines of this expectation of what their relationship is, right? You can say you're happy and that this is fine and this is how you prefer things to be, but most people look at this and say, hey, Paul isn't pulling his weight. He doesn't have a proper job. He's avoiding having a proper job to play pickleball. And he's still doing that rather than taking care of the children while you're going through this medical drama, this really serious medical situation. He's making so much of it about him. It's just disgusting. Let me know what you think down below. I have a feeling I know what most of you are going to think, which is that this is fucked up. I hope Morgan does have a relatively speedy recovery and that it is not too serious, and thank goodness that she does have other family members that are willing to step up and support her because Paul is too busy pickling his balls or whatever. Very uncool. I guess I'll see you to talk about Girl Defined in another video. It's a little late now. I got a stream. Follow me on Twitch. Check out my gaming channel. The best way to support what I do here is via the Patreon. With that, I must give a big old shout out and a thank you to my giant chickens and colossal quackers over on Patreon. Most importantly, have yourselves a very lovely week, and I will see you really soon. Super rushed ending!